I am Peter Cowan, the Bee Whisperer. It may not look it, but it's been a fairly warm winter here in Maine so far. Looks like on average January is going to be warmer than average, even though I dare say it might be a few weeks before we get in the swimming pool. But got that to look forward to anyway. Had a bit more snow yesterday. Not much, another couple of inches or so. Had a couple of inches yesterday, a couple of inches the day before. These are all still nicely tucked in. When we start getting a few warmer days, by that I mean in the 40s or so, might start looking at putting some pollen in my little pollen feeder there. It's basically just a little yellow box put on the wall, on a tree rather. I'll put some pollen substitute in that. It's great fun feeding the bees with pollen substitute a little bit early. They act like there's a giant flower, and it makes you feel like spring, maybe a month or two before you're entitled. But don't feed too much pollen substitute this time of year, otherwise you get brood rearing prematurely, and if you do that, then your hive could be in trouble with starvation because the population can grow too much too quickly. Of course, I will be feeding pollen substitute maybe 3 to 4 weeks ahead of the normal pollen flow, because as I sell bees, I want my hives to be as big as they can be, as early as they can be, so I can split them to make nukes and have them available for sale. Normal, on average, the temperatures in January, average high is below 30 degrees Fahrenheit. That's about -1 centigrade. So, but we're averaging a few degrees above that, and even now it's already above that. Things are melting pretty quickly, and you can really feel the heat of that sun. Might be a bit milky with the clouds, but you really can feel that heat already, even though it's only January. So right now, I've not been posting a lot. My apologies for that, but been preparing for our introduction to beekeeping beginners workshop on beekeeping 24/7, and we've already got well over 200 people attending that, and hopefully more to follow. So there's been a few things that I should be getting on with here in the barn. A few deliveries, gotta get them on the shelves, making more frames. Because I sell nukes, I get through an awful lot of frames. So I'm stocked up on wood frames, foundation, and I may buy some more plastic frames in. I've got a lot of my either supers in need of paint jobs, and I pulled out my white supers where I could, because I much prefer them to be a different, darker color. So they're going to get painted up. And I've got a few things being taken out of circulation, and a bit of stuff to tidy up. What a mess. And speaking of messes, oh boy, as you see, I store a lot of my honey in 5-gallon buckets there. I've got about 1.5 tons of honey in 5-gallon buckets, which is roughly 60 pounds of honey at a time. Of course, by this time of year, it will crystallize. So I'll use a heating blanket, which will get it up to 110 degrees. And that'll make it easy to pour out and dispense into jars. But when I came in here yesterday, I found one of those buckets. This one in particular, the bottom had cracked. And when it went from solid to liquid, it just ran out all over the floor, all under there, all back here, under there. Lots. I've got a lot of mopping up to do. So much fun. So that's another project for today. Mop up 60 pounds of honey. That's an expensive crack in a bucket, believe me. But that's where it goes. Fortunately, I've got about another 30 buckets available. So, pity I can't feed it to the bees at this time of year. I'm going to just scoop it up and feed it to the bees at some point. They can clean it out and separate dirt from honey. But, yes, that's a pity. I've got a few more things here. Some bottles ready to go to Good Shepherd Food Bank. And that's going to be going, but one heck of a lot of cleaning up and preparing, because it won't be long before spring's here, and I've got to use this both for customers coming in and, of course, classes, because as well as the virtual classes we hold with Beekeeping 24/7, I do a lot of in-person classes here as well. And those in-person classes are here based on my farm, and we'll do about 5 hours of theory, going through all the different ins and outs that a beginner should be knowing. And we'll spend the afternoon going into the hives live out back, weather permitting. And so members of Beekeeping 24/7 join those classes for free, of course. But otherwise, if you're interested in making a trip here to Hamden, Maine, in last couple of weekends in April, last couple of weekends in May, I've got those 4 different weekends with beginners classes. So feel free to send me a message and book your place for that. They cost $99 per day for coming to those classes. $99 per person. Anyway, I better get the mop out. I'm Peter Cowan, the Bee Whisperer. See you next time.